Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Learn Together program. My name is Eva. Thank you for joining us today in this series of webinars that were initiated by Microsoft Croatia. Our intention is to bring exceptional educational materials closer to teachers and educators across Europe. And today our guest is Mrs. Shelly Terrell, who will talk about the importance of personal learning networks. Mrs. Terrell is originally from the United States, but is now living and working in Germany. You will have a chance to ask her questions after her presentation. Shelly, thank you very much for accepting our invitation to present. It is our pleasure to have you with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Great. So let's hear more about personal learning networks.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here, and I've been wanting to visit Croatia for a very long time and hoping that I get there this year. I travel a lot, and one of the things that I talk about is Twitter and also personal learning networks. So if you don't know what the terms are, or you've never joined Twitter, or a lot of people think, when they think of Twitter sometimes, that they think of famous people like Ashton Kutcher or some other celebrity and how they just talk about what they had for breakfast or their routines. But right now, there are many, many educators that are using Twitter in a new, exciting way to communicate with each other and able to collaborate and things like that. And actually, it's because of Twitter that I met Ariana and that I was able to connect with her, and we established a really great connection, and so that's why I'm here with you today. So Twitter can be very, very powerful. The first thing I want to talk about, though, before we come up with the terms, is something very basic, and if you come away with anything from this presentation, is how the idea how educators are connecting today. And what does it mean to connect with another educator online specifically? When you're online with educators, there's a different kind of communication system that takes place. Right now, you're already connecting with me through this webinar. And this is what's called a personal learning environment. And I'll talk more about that later, but what we're doing right now is we're connecting, we're collaborating, and we're communicating. And this becomes rather a cycle. It all works together. And what happens is some really great learning and motivation that takes place. So I want you to think about when we talk about educators online, especially educators on Twitter, that this is what they're continuously doing in a cycle. They're connecting, they're collaborating, and they're communicating. So let's talk a little about connection online. Well, connecting before 1993. 1993 is a very big, important date. And I want you to think about why 1993 is such an important date. So I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. Well, one of the reasons why 1993 is so important, maybe you guessed already, it's because there was an organization, and it's based in Switzerland, and it's the European Organization for Nuclear Research. And their acronym is CERN, C-E-R-N. And in April 30th of 1993, they did something that would forever change communication and the world. And what they did was they announced that the World Wide Web, which was already invented, which we were already using some email and things like that. Well, the ones that were very sophisticated in the government and different agencies were already using the World Wide Web. But this is when CERN announced that this would be free to anyone without fees. Of course, then you had places like AOL and other companies come and give you browsers, and you have to pay for that to make it more user-friendly to to someone like me who, or you or somebody who maybe didn't understand this computer language and stuff. But that's why 1993 is such an important date. And if you think of connecting before the World Wide Web, before it was available to all for free, then you might remember some of these ways that we connected. The first one, we did it through what sometimes people call snail mail. We mailed letters to each other, and that was a big way that we connected was, you know, I miss sometimes, well, in Germany, I do get from my parents quite a bit, and other family members. I do get to read some cards, but it's very rare that I've read an actual letter written by someone. But this is how we used to communicate quite a bit, and I remember, you know, being at the mailbox and being really excited if I had a friend that moved somewhere and who wrote me a letter. We used to talk on the telephone, and it wasn't these kinds of telephones. It was just phones that connected to the wall, and you know, having a mobile phone was a big deal if you could walk around with your phone. That's how. And then of course, as classroom teachers, one of the things we always did is we would knock on the door to the person next to us or the teacher, and we would just talk often. And that's how we shared information. It was usually through professional development conferences and talking to each other, making photocopies for each other. So these are all ways we connected before the World Wide Web. And these are ways that you probably still connect, but not as often if you're on the World Wide Web. So now there happens to be a type of learning shift. And what I mean by that is after the World Wide Web, these are just a very few small ways that we connect online. And maybe some of you can already see examples of some of the tools you already use to connect. For example, the very first one, which is mail, email. You know, you have Gmail now. That's the icon for Gmail. But any type of mail service that you have for free, that's the way we connect. A majority of us is, you know, we have our email accounts. And with the new platforms, many of the social media experts or the ones who research the World Wide Web and communication say that email will become a thing of the past. I'm not sure yet if that's entirely true, but email is definitely changing. There's a lot more you can do with it. You had Yahoo Groups, so many of you may have been part of a Yahoo group, and you've noticed the way that those have changed as well. Skype and Facebook. You know, many people are on Facebook. Many people use YouTube. And these are all ways you connect, because now these have grown. It used to be that you may remember the very, very first web pages when the internet was invented and you were able to go on the World Wide Web and you had this access, and it was very, you just read something from somebody else, but you didn't have that connection. But all of these tools here, they are now with connections. You can talk to somebody and have somebody across the world in any of these platforms here. But the one that we're going to concentrate on today is this little birdie here, which is Twitter. All of these are also called personal learning environments. And the reason why we talk about learning is the reason why it's so great and wonderful that we have these tools. The human connection, that's just incredible. But one of the great things about it is our continuous learning. And as educators, it's really important that we are always continuous learners, and we show our students that we love learning. I think that's so important, because our students, they walk in and we expect them to be just excited about learning or to do, I did some research, and most around the world, most countries have between 180 and 250 school days a year. So we ask our students to commit to learning for that amount of time, nearly 200 days. I mean, that's more than more than half the year that we ask them to. So I think there should be a motivation. Well, all of these places are called personal learning environments. It's where we can continue our learning and help our students as well to continue their learning. And our students are probably using many of these tools already, even if we are not. So why should educators connect? Well, this is a really important question. Sorry, some of the slides didn't come out. There might be a little, when it loads up on here, it's not perfect, so sorry. It was perfect when I loaded it. There is a theory behind this. It wasn't a bunch of educators really that just got online and said, I'm going to share what I'm doing for breakfast on Twitter. This is actually based on something called Connectivism. And Connectivism is a theory. It's from George Siemens and Stephen Downes, are like the founding fathers of it. And what they talk about is that people, not just educators, but people around the world, want this human connection. And every time you make a connection online, you're processing the information, you're sharing, and you're also contributing, you're participating in this network. You get to choose the friends that you want. For example, Facebook, you have your friends, and when somebody adds you, you have a choice. You can decide, okay, I'm going to friend them now, or now they have a nice way of saying something like friend later or something, or not now. But you get to make these choices. You get to decide who you connect to. So, for example, I'm an English language teacher, but I don't only connect to English language teachers on Twitter. I have computer scientists. I follow, for example, people who do mobile learning, because these are things that I'm interested in. I follow people who have pugs. I have a pug, mops, I believe that's what they call it in Croatia as well. That's what they call it in, it's a little dog with a funny little nose. And so, and I follow that because I love pugs, I love mops, and I want to know this information. So, but I make these choices. The learning online with the people that I connect with is very individualized, and it's very individualized for you too. You make these decisions. You also make the decision of how much time you invest. You make the decision what time of day, and you also make the decision of how you want to learn. And all of this is part of connectivism. For example, today you decided to attend this webinar, and you decided that this is the way you were going to learn today. So what is a personal learning network? This is what a little bit of my personal learning network looks like on Twitter alone. I have over 11,000 followers now. And the number is not so important. The reason why I have this amount, and this isn't what I recommend for, most educators, is because it's part of my job as well. And it's something that I love to do. It's a personal choice. But it's something that I'm very interested in. And a personal learning network, so the PLE, the personal learning environment, is Twitter, Facebook, Nings, Wikis, YouTube, all of these places that you connect. But the personal learning network are the people. They're the people that you choose to connect with every day, have conversations with. And it doesn't have to be every day, but it's the people that you decide. So that's what a PLN is. It's the people you are connecting with online, you're communicating with. I like to also, it's sometimes also called a professional learning network, and it's also called a passionate learning network. Before we go into details of that, what I did when I was doing this presentation was I do part of this presentation worldwide, in Turkey and Greece and places around the world. I've been to 16 different countries and talked about personal, passionate learning networks, which is my term. I call it passionate learning networks. Some people call it professional learning network. All the same thing. It's the people in it. And I asked my on my blog, I asked them, I said, you know, I want to know why you connect. Can you please send me little videos and tell me as an educator, why do you connect? And I had parents send me videos, and I also had students send me videos. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play the video, and then they're going to tell you why they connect. Because I think it's really important that you see. So I'm going to play this video right now. Okay, let me go back to the presentation. Oops. Okay, so hopefully you saw the video and everything went great, and you saw the different reason why the educators and the students connected as well. There was a little part at the beginning that was missed, but that's okay. I think you got enough of the message to be able to see. And there's more entries, but this video would have been so long, so I actually cut it down. But over, I think, 20 different countries participated, and it was just amazing to be able to see that kind of impact with educators and the different students and things like that. So this is why I like to call it my Passion Learning Network, because the educators online are really just so passionate and just eager to share resources and help one another, and it's just an amazing community to be part of. So now you know a little bit about the background, the why. You've seen the educators, the students, things like that tell you why to become part of this personal, passionate learning network. And you're probably thinking, how do I do this? Well, Twitter is one of the best ways to do it because it is quite easy. It's called microblogging, and it's because you can only type 140 characters, not 140 words, 140 characters. So I'm going to give you some tips and ideas, and if you go to the wiki, you'll be able to find all these resources as well, including the video. First thing I want you to see is new Twitter, okay? This is what new Twitter looks like, and these arrows indicate some of the most important places with the browser if you go online. Twitter is free. You do have to register and sign up, so you will have to choose a name. It's 140 characters. So I recommend that you do a really, really short name if you can, and something that's not too complicated. For example, Ariana, hers is... and I'm not sure if I pronounced Ariana's last name, Ariana Blasik. Hers is A-B from Z, and that's a wonderful, perfect name because it's not very confusing. Also, at the same point, it's very short. And when somebody tries to communicate with you, your name becomes part of the 140 characters. I personally think Shelly Terrell, that's my name, is not Shelly Terrell, but actually Shelly Terrell. And some people think of it Shelly Terrell, because it rhymes. But I think it's a little too long, and I think, I wish somebody would have told me, ahead of time, pick a name that's a little bit easy. And it's also a little bit difficult to spell, so sometimes people misspell my name all the time. So these are the things to keep in consideration when you're doing this. So this is the home view. If you look at the very, very top arrow, you're going to see, for example, you're going to see where it says what's happening, and that's where you can type in the browser 140 characters, and you can just start off by saying something like, hello, I'm a teacher, in Twitter. Now, the thing you want to do is you want to try to mention someone at the beginning, because the way to get more educators on board is to begin to have actual conversations with them. We don't want to do the typical Twitter thing where celebrities may say what they're doing throughout their day. It's more about sharing resources, it's more about talking with people. And yeah, it's going to take a little bit of practice. Okay, so you see the arrow pointing to my name. The reason I pointed there is because you have more options there. That's where you get to do things like fill in your profile and stuff. At the very top, you see the mentions. Mentions means when people talk about you, what they say about you, they might, for example, share a blog post, or they might recommend you to other educators and things like that. You see the people, some of the people over here, they have different types of pictures. I think it's better if you use a real picture of your face, but you don't have to. You can see some people use their cat, some people use logos. It's up to you, but you should have a picture, and you should have a bio. So these are just some of the places to navigate around Twitter. So when you go to settings, that's where you get to put in something. So you do get to put in your full name, you get to put in your location, and you can see me with my little pug. And often I have different types of pictures, and I try to include my little mops there because he's just so cute. And he makes me look good next to him. So you also can put in your own blog if you have a blog or a website, and that's okay. People are used to having people share their resources so they can find out more information about you. And people do this. And educators especially do this. They'll look at you, first of all, they'll see, one, do you have a picture? And it could be, like I said, a cartoon avatar or something. That's okay. Two, they see if you have a bio, and they quickly read your bio. It's only 160 characters. And so it's really important when you put something like ELT or education, so people know right away who you are and what you represent. And then the other thing is they'll click on your website and they'll check you out. They'll say the things that you're doing. And so if you have a website, any kind of website that you're on, even if it's a YouTube channel, put it up so people can find out more about you. And then they'll feel safer making that connection with you. One thing to be aware of is connections. There's a lot of different ways to make Twitter very successful for you, quick and easy, and I'll show you some of the ways. But you don't, even though there's all these cool tools, sometimes you have to watch out. Just like in email, you get spam. In Twitter, you're going to get spam too if you don't watch who you allow in or the companies that you allow. So if you accidentally, for example, you're on Facebook and it says something like add on Twitter Mafia or Farmville, and you accidentally click it just to check it out, well, you might have given them access. So you might end up sending tweets with that. So the way to take that out is to make sure you go to this connections page, and then you can revoke the access, and then it'll take it away. So you don't have to panic or anything like that. If anything like that happens, don't worry. Just revoke the access, and that's under connections. But the important part is, how do we begin to do this process of learning and how we get to benefit really from Twitter? Well, it's about the communication, the connecting, and the collaborating that I was telling you about before. And you have to know a few things about this. The first thing is you need to know how to engage. And by engage is engage those people that you want to learn with. It's not enough to just post links and things like that, but you want to have an actual conversation, because that's where you learn the most. That's where you get the most out of Twitter. Educate. And we'll talk about educating where you contribute, where you're a participant in all of this, and reporting. So these are the three things that you will constantly do in Twitter. You can see how they all overlap with each other. So engaging. What does engaging mean? First of all, you want to add those you know. So there are a network of teachers that are on Twitter that are in Croatia or in your area. There are many English language teachers that are on Twitter. You can find them if you look for a hashtag called ELT Chat, and I'll talk about hashtags in a little bit. So you want to add the people that you know first. The next thing you want to do is you want to follow lists and recommendations. So every Tuesday and every Friday, these are days designated to teaching, introducing others to educators or other people to follow. So for example, if I follow if I follow Ariana AB from Z, she might say, oh, follow this teacher. This is a new teacher from Croatia that went to Shelly's presentation. And please follow her. She's new to Twitter. And so then I would see this and I would follow you. Okay? So these are lists and recommendations, and this is way you get to connect with other educators. So it's good when you see someone that you know recommend someone to add those people to your list. And they may not follow you right away. Sometimes, for example, with me, I sometimes, the amount of people that I have is so overwhelming sometimes as far as figuring out who to follow and things like that, that sometimes I don't recognize until somebody favorites a tweet or until they retweet, and I'll talk about what all that means later. But so sometimes it takes me a bit of time, maybe a week, some cases a month, to go to my list and follow people. So people don't follow you right away. It's not because they don't want to or anything. It's because sometimes it just takes a little while. Join conversations. So you want to use the @ reply. So you can see on my name where it says it has this little @ sign, and so you want to use that @ symbol as much as possible, because this is connecting to another person. When you use that @ symbol with my name, Shelly Terrell, then I know that you're having a conversation with me. You're saying, hello, how are you doing? Or, sharing a resource. Oh, that's really great that you said this. I agree about young learners. Here's this young learner project that I do in my class. And then that's the way we begin to connect and we begin to have these conversations. Join projects. Many teachers will come on. For example, you have an award-winning project, Glocksters of the World in Croatia. So some people will find this out on Twitter, and then they can join this project. There's a rule, it's 20-80% rule. So if you are a company or you represent a company or anything about yourself, the rule is 20% of the time, go ahead and talk about yourself. So for example, today I shared a blog post, today I shared my webinar. But 80% of the time I'm having conversation, I'm sharing other people's resources. So 20% of the time can be dedicated to you, and 80% of the time is dedicated to sharing resources and things that are not necessarily associated with you and having conversations. So that's how you engage. That's how you gain a network, and that's how you get people, other educators, to get that connection. And how do you educate? How do you become a participant? How do you add value? Well, there's 3 ways. You can tweet resources, and these can be where you find anywhere. And one of the biggest problems that teachers tell me when I do this kind of training is, oh, well, everybody's heard of everything on here. Nobody's going to be able to benefit from what I share. That's not true. There's so many educators on Twitter. I would say at least over 50,000 educators on Twitter. There may even be more than that. And they're always new. There's always new people, and they're always new people, and they're worldwide. There is no possible way that everybody worldwide will see this information. And even if somebody else has already shared this information a week ago, if you have something like so many hundreds of followers and stuff, then you may miss this. So it's okay to share resources. Someone out of your network will benefit from this, trust me. So please share your resources. Use specific hashtags, and you can see this hashtag. You see how I have a number sign. And the number sign, whenever you put a number sign in front of a word in Twitter, that makes it a link. That means you can click on it, and you will see everybody who uses that word. So for example, young learners. I work a lot with young learners. So if I see YL, because we shorten it for Twitter, it's 140 characters, young learners would take a lot. So if I click on YL, and it has a number in front of it. I can click on that, and then I see all these young learner resources. I see all these people that work with young learners, and for me, that's really exciting, you know, because that's something that I'm searching for at that particular time. You can do that with anything: education, technology, ed tech, ELT, ESL, ELT chat. All of these are places where you can click on that word, and you can find all these educators to follow that are English language teachers and things like that, or share education and technology resources. There's even one for mobile learning and learning. And then answer questions. A lot of people will go on and they'll ask specifically, oh, I'm having this lesson come up. Does anyone know any songs for phrasal verbs, or something like that? And then if you know, just share the resources, share answers. If you know, then share your experience. And this is how you become an expert, sort of like a subject matter expert. People, when you ask questions, when you use specific hashtags, when you share resources, you don't have to do one topic. But if it is one topic, for example, you're in business English, and this is what you teach, then people will begin to identify you as an expert on business English. If it's young learners, then this is what they identify you with. So it's very important that you share things, but also at the same time you're branding yourself. You're letting people know out there, hey, if you have a question about this specific topic, I am the person to go to. I can help you out. And that's very important. If you, for example, have a business or represent a school or something like that. So that's when you begin to think of that. And if not, just share resources because it helps other people. And then the last one I like to think you do on Twitter, that's really fun, is you get to act like a reporter. So if you ever want to be a journalist or something like that, then you can do this in Twitter. A lot of people will tweet at the conferences they're at. So if you have Wi-Fi, and that's really exciting. And they use a hashtag. They use the number for that. And it's something really short. IATEFL. We use hashtag IATEFL for IATEFL. And TESOL, France, or TESOL this, or so you find a lot, you find a lot of people that you can connect with at conferences through this hashtag. It's so amazing. When I went to IATEFL, all the people I met on Twitter, I had big hugs with. And it was because I had these constant conversations with them before. I already knew things that they were part of if they were in business English, because this is what you get to know when you're talking with people. I mean, it's like an SMS, like texting a bunch of friends every day or once a week or twice a week, whatever you choose. But it's so fast and quick to do that you learn so much about them, and it's wonderful. Retweet. Retweet is whenever you see an RT on Twitter. And what that means is, let's say that I share something. For example, today I shared during ELT chat my website, my wiki for my young learners, and it has songs and chants. And somebody else thought that was very interesting, and they thought, oh, that's so exciting. I want to share that with the teachers in Croatia or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put RT in front of her tweet, and then it's going to show up for all my friends. And that's really important, because what a retweet does is, I have 11,000 followers. You're going to start off and remember, I've been on Twitter for over a year. So you're going to start off with maybe a few, 20, and then maybe next month 100, or your network will grow if you're participating. So let's say you need help with a survey for your school. Then if I retweet it, then all my 11,000 followers will be able to participate in your survey. So that's why retweet becomes so important. And even though I have 11,000 followers, I appreciate when people retweet to their network, because what happens is there are a lot of people that I'm not connected with that you may be connected with. So, the retweet is the language of Twitter. It's a way to show people that, first of all, that you're interested in what they have to say. And most of the time, people will follow you if you retweet them. That's how I find people to follow all the time. I click on them, and then I say, oh, I haven't seen this person before. And I make sure that I'm following them if they're, if they did a retweet. Okay, so you learned some of the basics about the communication in Twitter. Now, here's a very important question that teachers ask me all the time, and that's, where do I find the time? I already spend numerous hours lesson planning and all of this. Well, I think it's very important, first of all, that we make the time. Twitter actually will save you some time. I used to Google so much stuff and go through all the links and searches, and it was terrible. Now when I'm on Twitter, I ask a question. I say, oh, I need something on phrasal verbs. And I get maybe like 20 responses in 5 minutes or something. And they're all peer-reviewed. What do I mean by peer-reviewed? All the teachers have already used this. They wouldn't share it if they hadn't used this resource before, so I know it's good resource. I don't have to go through every single link on Google and find, oh, this is just an advertisement or something. Twitter makes searching so much easier for me. So you do save some time, but let me show you other ways to save some time. First of all, it's very important you download a browser. So yes, you can connect on Twitter online, and you can do it straight from the website. But it's much faster if you download something for free, and there are many free, like Tweetdeck. This is Tweetdeck here, and Tweetdeck is free, and you can find this on the wiki. And Tweetdeck allows you to do so many things very quickly. So you can see some of the features. When you go on someone's avatar, an avatar is their picture, automatically it'll pop up with what it looks like in the bottom. So you see their tweet, you can reply to them. That's the mention that I was talking about, the @ sign. So so it says English language learners. What does a whipping boy mean? Find out at. Okay, so let's say I wanted to ask this person, gap fillers, what this meant, or I wanted to say thank you. Then I would just quickly click the reply, DM. A DM is a direct message. What that means is nobody else will see that tweet, only that person. So it will not become public. But if you do a reply, then that becomes public. That means everybody who can see that, okay, that you follow and who follow that person. A retweet, you can automatically just click this, and it'll give you the option to just do it in a second. And then there's other things. Let's say you get a spammer or something, then you can block them real quick. You can save a tweet. You can mail a tweet. I mean, you can bookmark it. So that way you can have it for later if you need this link later. And then you want to. Okay, so we're coming to the end pretty soon. Sorry, it's taking a long. The other way is through your phone. If you have a smartphone, you can definitely connect with it. These are some of the places that I recommend. I recommend Ecofon. This is free. RSS/G. This is so if you follow a lot of blogs, then you can just automatically just tweet those blogs. There's a light version that's free. I had the paid version because it was very cheap. And then Tweetdeck, which is also free on your on the smartphones. Okay, so now you have to answer some questions for yourself. What do you want to learn? Who do you want to connect to? What is the best tool for connecting for you? How much time can you invest? And how do you want to learn? Okay, so these are all things that you get to decide when you're connecting online with educators and on Twitter. And the reason why I say how much time can you invest, part of my job, I represent two online companies, which is Parentello, which is a free parent-teacher social network, and the consultancy, which does a lot of training. You might have heard of Gavin Dudney. He's done some workshops in Croatia before. And so part of what I do is that I'm constantly online. And so some people might get the impression that you constantly have to be online, and that's not the truth. I have some friends who connect once a month maybe, some that connects once a week. And this is what they dedicate. You get to decide. You don't have to be on Twitter all the time. It's really just up to you. And then you decide how do you want to learn. Do you want to go to webinars? You can find so many webinars on Twitter these days. You can read blog posts. I mean, it's just really so much information, and you get to make the choices. And what I want you to remember before we go is that all personal learning networks start with a single connection, me and you. So you can always follow me. Just say the @reply. Actually, on the wiki, it gives you a six-step process, and one of them is a tweet that you can just copy and paste in your Twitter, and it says, "Hello, Shelly, I want to connect." And it's very simple, and then I'll follow you, and then I'll recommend you to all the educators I know, and then you make that connection, and that's all you have to do is just send a tweet that says, with the @ and make sure, it has my right name, Shelly Terrell, it's spelled right, or else I won't see it. And then that's how you get connected, and you can begin this learning process and this learning journey. But the most important thing about Twitter is to enjoy your Twitter adventure. Twitter is a lot of fun, and they make fun of Twitter all the time. But you can find me here. These are the different resources. You can find me on Twitter at Shelly Terrell to make it easier. And then you can also email me, and I can email you the different links. And then please visit the weconnect.pbworks.com. You will find the video. You will find also different types of buttons. You can click ELT, and you'll find great people that do English language teaching blogs, and then you'll find all these guides and steps to help you with your Twitter journey. So now I'll answer some questions while we're here.
Thank you, Shelly. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. I'm sure all our participants found this very interesting, and I also hope that it will encourage them to start working on building their own personal learning networks. Your experience and advice is will certainly be of help in that mission. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions. Just to remind everyone, you can ask questions orally by turning on your microphone or by using the questions and answers tool. Okay, so we have a question from Carol. Do you prefer RT or the retweet button? I have to say that I don't even know what RT means, so if you can explain that a little bit.
Sure, no problem. I do both. If I don't have any time, then I just use the retweet button, and it's so easy. It just does the tweet exactly like it is. But sometimes I also like to do the RT because then I can edit it. And what I usually do is I don't even use the RT. I'll have the source first, and then I'll say via or by someone. So it depends on your time. If you don't have a lot of time, then just the straight RT is fine.
Okay, Miss Ivana Paulin says, thank you for your educative and informative webinar. Video was great and inspiring. There you go. We already have some people that found this very interesting. Okay, I think I saw Miss Ariana. Okay, you have your microphone on. I'm guessing you want to say something. Ariana? Ariana, can you hear us? Maybe not. Okay, we'll go back to her. We have a question from Panagiotis, I think. If you could please send us again the instructor's link where we can find the video. Okay, so after this webinar, we're going to send you all a thank you note. It will have a link to the recording of this webinar in it, and we will also add a link to that video, so you will all get it.
Yes.
Okay, Victoria. Sorry.
Also,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, feel free to share it with your groups. This video was made Creative Commons. You don't even have to give. We're on the video and we're at the end of the tag, so you can show it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to ask for permission or anything. You're more than welcome to use the video. That's not a problem. Okay, great. That's very helpful. I'm sure a lot of people will do that. I will be the first who does it on Facebook. Okay, so
Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions. First of all, well, my first question was going to be which network do you prefer? But when you say that you have 11,000 followers on Twitter, I'm guessing Twitter is your favorite one. I have to say it's very impressive, and you have only been on Twitter for a year. So, what's your secret? What do you do? Why do people follow you?
Well, I share a lot. I do a lot of webinars, but I try to meet a lot of educators face to face, and I try to get a lot of educators to participate in projects like global collaboration projects. So that's the main reason why you'll see me at many conferences each year too.
Okay, I see Ariana has her microphone back on. Ariana, can you hear us? Ariana, we can't hear you. If you're trying to talk, we can't hear you. Okay, well, back to our questions. Also, 50,000 educators on Twitter is a very impressive number. Would you say that Twitter is the social network that gathers the most educators, the most number of educators?
I would, except in my experience, Facebook is a little bit more popular. Now there's a lot of education groups on Facebook, and in some of the features they have with the groups now. I would still say, I mean, there's 4 million or something on Facebook. So I still think Facebook is where a lot of the educators are. But slowly trickling down from Facebook is Twitter.
Okay. Okay, one question. How many of the people in your network do you personally know?
I don't know, a lot, because I meet a lot during conferences, and I do many different. I actually conduct an online conference. I conduct 2. There's one March 25th and 6th, and they're free. And it's for English language teachers, and it's a virtual roundtable conference, and you can Google it, virtual roundtable conference. And so I meet a lot there. I constantly work with different presenters and things like that. So I actually have met a huge majority of of the people that I follow.
Okay. I was actually expecting a different answer. Like, I don't know anyone. I know them only online, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, Antonella is asking, will you participate on this mega conference junior next week or some other? Okay, you just answered part of it. But the other part of it, mega conference junior, is that the thing that you were talking about?
No, this is actually the 25th and 6th. No, I wasn't aware of. I do a lot of webinars, so I wasn't aware of this mega conference. But you're more than welcome to email me, and I'll attend. I would love to see it, even if I don't participate. I like to attend these conferences.
Okay, Ariana says, I'm sorry you can't hear me. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Shelly for coming to Croatia virtually. But I hope she'll come over really soon. And the question, now there's supposed to be a question, but I'm still waiting for her to write it. Okay. So you have cooperated with a lot of countries. Do you know the exact number? I'm guessing not.
That I've collaborated with?
Yeah.
I would say there's over 50.
Wow. That's another impressive number. Okay, so let's say a teacher wants to start their own personal network. Would you recommend to start with one social network, let's say Twitter, or go into building the more different ones at the same time?
I think it's whatever the educator can handle. For me, I'm the kind of person who jumps in. So when I did Twitter, I also did blogging, I joined meetings, the Facebook groups. But if you're already on Facebook, then you can start there, and you can start making connections there. And you can find people that are on Facebook that you'll see a lot of them will share their tweets on their Facebook status. So if that's what you're used to, then do that, because it's not overwhelming. But if you're not in any networks, then I say try Twitter and just stick with it for a while, because I have the same story as many educators. I started Twitter, and I thought it was silly and ridiculous, and then 6 months later, I started again, and I got it. And that's what a lot of educators will tell you. So that's my recommendation.
Okay, thanks. Another question. Do you separate your private profiles from your work ones?
No. And the reason that I don't is because every time that I have Twitter or anything like that, well, there is one private. I do have one private account for family and stuff for one thing, which is the Facebook. So the Facebook, I have a couple of accounts. But the rest, no. And the reason is because everything I say positive, every link I share, things like that, then I'm making a very positive presence about me online. So if you Google me, you're not going to find anything ridiculous or silly.
That's what you think.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but this is one of the things, educators get really nervous about, but it's better if an employee sees all the good things you're doing, and because a lot of employees will Google you now, than to maybe, see nothing. I think it speaks more volumes if they see positive things that you do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ariana is asking, are most of the people in your personal learning network English teachers, and how easy or difficult is it for teachers of other subjects to connect on Twitter?
The majority of my network are educators in general. There are a lot of English language teachers, but the majority of my network are just in the education field, and they may not even be teachers. They may be administrators, or sometimes there are companies that do education products or speakers and things like that. They're just related to the field of education, and it's fairly easy. If you don't remember anything else from the presentation, the way that I began finding educators on Twitter was I just did a Google. I said teachers I put Twitter teachers, and it automatically came up with this website that had a list of all these teachers and their subject matter. So that's how I was able to connect with English language teachers. And you can still do that. You can put Twitter teachers, and you'll find this wiki, and you'll find all these educators to follow. So it's pretty easy.
Okay. Dumalushin has a long comment. Shelly, I'm going to let you read that later. But now I'm just going to ask you, what is your favorite Twitter tool and application?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I have a lot that I really, really like. Okay, mobilely, I really do enjoy Ecophon. I like it better than Tweetdeck because it helps me look at the general tweets. But Tweetdeck, I always have Tweetdeck on. I love Tweetdeck. Tweetdeck is my favorite browser. But I also love Twitter feed. Twitter feed, and all of these are free. And that's the great thing about Twitter is a lot of these things are free. But Twitter feed allows me to automatically post blogs that I already read on a daily basis. So I don't have to go and copy all the links. Anytime that person updates their blog, it comes out on my Twitter. So I really love TweetDeck and Twitter feed. And TweetDeck, the great thing about TweetDeck is you can also put updates on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and some other places.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Do you have any more questions? I think that's it. So, okay, we have been on for almost an hour, so I think it might be time to wrap it up. This was a very successful webinar. Thank you, Shelly. It was a pleasure to have you with us here. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. I think this was very inspiring. I actually think that it was so inspiring that Let's Learn Together might end up on Twitter, maybe even today.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
So everyone, you heard Shelly. If you need any help connecting, she's here for you. You can start with her and then start building your own network. Hopefully, I'll see you on Facebook, on Twitter, and again in another webinar that we're organizing live meeting. So again, thank you everyone for being here. I hope you'll join us again. Watch out for our next webinar. You will receive an invitation into your inbox. If you have any comments or ideas, feel free to write to us. You can see the address on the screen. And I hope to see you again very soon. Shelly, again, thank you very much for being here. I hope we'll connect.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being here and sharing with you. And please ding me on Twitter or even through email, or just feel free to ask me. It's not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. See you. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.